What would you say to someone that kind of has the sentiments of like, hey, listen, like, I don't really care if I hit PRs or I don't really care. It's like I lift because I know it's good for me, especially as I'm getting older and stuff like that. But like, what sentiments would you give that person? It's just like, like in that debacle of like, I'm not really motivated by PRs and stuff like that. So, like, why should I still follow a strength cycle or why should I do this?
The best benefit to the lower rep ranges is going to be neurological conditioning, essentially just figuring out how to coordinate all the different neurological firings in your body to achieve a task. And the same thing needs to be done as we age to like get a suitcase into the overhead compartment of an airplane or lift a couch to move it if that's something that we have to do at some point. And so strength training heavy does set you up to succeed at that. But you like I said, you don't have to be super close to failure. And so first off, you don't have to do the strength cycle. You can do the hypertrophy cycle if that's more your thing, like train in the hypertrophy cycle. But it seems like with this person, the issue seems to be more that they just don't want to like work super hard and like work really close to failure anyways. They just kind of want to like go into the gym and go through the motions, right? For the most part. And so in that case, I think like you can use a little bit of like daily RPE for yourself. Like, hey, I feel great today. I know lifting isn't my number one priority, but I need a program that has some structure to it so that I can follow something. You're going to get a ton of benefit if you just ignore all of my reps from failure recommendations and you just go in and you lift some weights. Like you go in and you pick up some dumbbells and you do some bench presses because the program says to do them. And you stop when it gets kind of hard, but you don't really care if you're 2 reps from failure or 6 reps from failure. That's fine. Like you're going to get some benefit from that. So I don't have a lot to say to this person other than it's great that you're showing up and continuing to do the thing. And the way that this person feels about weight training is very much the way that I felt about cardio until a year ago. And now you look at me and I fucking love cardio, man. Like in some ways, I actually look forward to my zone 2 rides more than I do to lifting now because
Oh, shit.
it's just a completely different mindset and necessary level of mental focus. And so maybe this person will find eventually that if they just keep showing up at the gym and they continue to get better at the movements, they refine technique, and they learn that they can push themselves, they might actually find that they love being in the gym and they love pushing themselves and they love seeing themselves get stronger. And that's awesome. Like I think part of the reason I love cardio is because I am getting so much better at it so quickly. And that's the beauty of any novel pursuit. Like as we get older, we don't do a lot of new things where adaptation curve is staggeringly fast. Like how often are we like as a 30 some 40-year-old whatever being like I'm going to pick up art class because I'm not very good at art. Well, that would be great if you did because you'd probably get better really quickly and it would be really cool for you. It'd be like a confirmation bias for like all of your self-worth. And it feels that way when I'm doing cardio sometimes. It's like, I am awesome because I'm improving. And, I go to lift weights and I feel like I'm beating my head against a wall constantly. Like, oh, one more rep. Like I had to work so hard for that rep. But this new person coming in, they might not love weight training, but they might learn to love it. And it might be because it gives them this ability to like achieve, which maybe they're not doing in other parts of their life.
As we get older, the more and more benefit we would find from strength training. And that's why I always love, like, I think CrossFit is so good about sharing videos where it'll be like, hey, here is this badass person that is 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, just, ripping weight. My parents, I'm like, I love y'all, but I wish y'all were more active and I wish y'all were doing more because it would help you age better and probably also help you be around longer, right?
Yeah, I mean, weight training, as far as like longevity goes, you can't argue with it. I mean, everybody should be weight training for longevity. Bone density is just the beginning of it. But you talk about the fact that people over 65, 50% of people over 65 that fall and break a hip are dead within 1 year. And that sounds
Uh,
like super morbid to say. That's a stat that I heard and I couldn't believe it. It was staggering. And so you have to avoid falls. Like that has to be the number one concern as you get older. And almost all falls occur eccentrically. So it's not going up the stairs or climbing up the curb. It's trying to step down the stairs or step down the curb or step out of your car. And weight training, what does weight training have? It has a ton of eccentric loading. We need that shit. That is really, really good for us. And it also helps with balance and stability. When it comes to longevity, I mean, 300% decrease in mortality when you have muscle in the top 25 percentile compared to those in the bottom 25 percentile. And the only thing that is more significant than that is VO2 max, which is 500% comparison. So, you got to have muscle and you got to have strength.
Yeah, there's just so much more to lifting than just hitting PRs, man. If all I cared about PRs, I would have been stopped lifting them years ago, because I don't think I've hit any all-time personal best in years. So, I mean, the last one I did was that deadlift. So, I mean, there's just so much more about lifting. And like you said, from the longevity, you cannot argue that it is crucial.
There's something about just like I wake up every day excited for some reason. And I know that's a blessing. Like there's a lot of people that wake up with anxiety or depression or any other number of reasons that keep them from wanting to get out of bed in the morning. But weightlifting truly is one of the main reasons that I am excited to wake up every day, because there's a session that I can look at and I have to attack, and it's on the menu and it gives me a purpose. And I think there's just so much value in that.
We talked about this, I think, on the last episode, or we had with you. But like, if you're a beginner to the cycles, would you recommend starting with the hypertrophy, or just doing the hypertrophy, or what would you recommend if someone was just brand new?
If you're like a brand new rank beginner, like you've never lifted weights before, then the prudent move is probably to start with hypertrophy. However, if you have some training background at all, I don't really see a reason you can't do strength work. Like, feel free to, submit your form check videos into either the app or into Facebook group. And we have our coaches and myself that are going to come in and comment and help you out and get you straightened out. So I would just say the only caution, if you did want to jump into a strength cycle and you weren't like super well versed on, what your 1 rep maxes are, or, very confident in lifting heavy weights, would just be prudent and just don't lift heavy weights. Like, start light. And we just talked about that earlier in the episode, how those that start lighter in the beginning are probably going to actually end up with better results in the end anyways. So I would just, encourage that person to, train lighter, focus on technique, and week to week build as they are comfortable.
Because I can see like a person who's like new, and, they would probably say something like, well, I don't know what my PRs and my 1 rep maxes are. Should I even try to do a strength cycle, right? Like, I mean...
Yeah, establish them. Let's find out what they are. It's the same thing as like Laura had never done a DEXA before, and she did a DEXA because 6 months from now, she wants to do another DEXA and compare. Same idea. Like, who cares what your numbers are? Let's find out, because guess what? 6 months from now, we have another strength cycle, and we're going to find out how much improvement you've made.